Good morning. Good morning. Are we there? Can you hear me? Is the sound working? I'm only joking. Come on in. Let me know if the sound's working. Oh no, Microsoft account problem. I hate those signs. Be all right. It's all right. I just want to know that you can hear me okay, because I can hear me. Just let me know if the sound is fine. That's all I need. After yesterday's fiasco, we can hear you. Thank you. Perfect. I'm glad to hear it. Good, 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 good. That makes my day. Hey, it was all right. It was all right. It's nothing terminal, is it? It's just a glitch. I felt bad that you were all sitting there poised, ready to colour in your tits. That was the only thing that I felt uncomfortable about yesterday, but it's okay. We're back on track. We're back on track in the SHAC. Yes, we are. So come on in, good morning. Good to have your company. I do apologise for yesterday. What happened, we figured out, was that when we did the live TV, the Skype the day before, Skype and Facebook live, they don't like each other. And you can go one way, but you can't go back the other. It knocks out something. Anyway, and so we had to reintroduce the something. But it's all right, we worked it out. That's what clever Jim's there for. Jim will fix it, he always does. So that's a cool thing, that's a good thing. It's good to have the right people on the team, I can tell you. Come on in, good morning. It's so much cooler here, so much cooler. Now we've got a fan, bit late, but that's all right. I'm sure that it will get warm again. Yeah, how are you? Enjoying is it cooler where you are today? It's much better here. It's what one would call overcast. Come on in. Let's crack on. Good morning, happy to see you back. Sound is fine. Thank you, Hilda. It's good to have your company too, love. What's it like in Scotland? What's the weather like in Scotland? Terrible about that train crash. So sorry. So sorry. Heartbreaker. You know, and that's the reality of it. So when the sound goes out in here, it's not a big deal really, is it? I'm sure you all doodled away and coloured in. And so it's 1 minute to 10. And when you're all sitting comfortably, then we'll crack on. Hey, that's what we'll do. Have you got a nice cup of tea? The water's back on. That's what I wanted to tell you before you even ask. The water's back on. It came on last night. Yes, it did. Result? It was a burst main, apparently. It wasn't all the people in their paddling pools. The system is overloaded here. You know, there are so many. And it's an old system and it's not really getting much love. And I think the more they load it, the worse it gets. Anyway, it burst. Apparently that happens when it gets hot. Well, here's the news, people. It gets hot. So yeah, no water for a couple of days. It's all right. It's a learning curve, isn't it? Hey? It's a learning curve with the old buckets and the... It makes you realise things that we take for granted, doesn't it? Things that we just assume are always going to be there. And then you realise, actually, you know, a lot of people, millions of people in the world, millions of people, they don't have running water. You know, Africa, they don't have running water. You know, we just assume we go to the tap. And you do, don't you? It's just force of habit. Even yesterday, even though I know there was no water coming out of the tap, I kept going to it because it's a habit. I just assume that always there's going to be water coming out of the tap, you know. But there you go. This whole year since the lockdown has been a bit of a learning curve for a lot of us, hasn't it? It certainly has for me. It's been a real eye-opener for this old bird at so many different levels. And I bet for you too. Good morning, Ken. Good to have you back in the SHAC. So what's the time? It's 1 minute past 10. Good morning, welcome to the SHAC, safe, happy and creative. Stay home and craft, that's right. And that's what we're doing. And so today we're going to catch up with our garden birds, our blue tits. And so before we were so rudely interrupted yesterday, we were doing the wings, weren't we? And we were using either our Pergoliner's B pencils, the blending pencils, or our polychromos. Either way, the not water soluble ones. And then I thought, let me show you. I thought, well, let's have a look at the background. So I haven't finished these two. They still need a little bit of detail. But look at cast your eye on the flowers. You see? And I was thinking, what would look really pretty? Because these are quite delicate birds, but because they're so close from a perspective point of view, of course, we've really gone in on the detail. But I thought, well, let's mix it up a little bit. Let's take the watercolour pencils and let's get in on those, let's combine. Because what we did for weeks, didn't we? I've changed my glasses. Hang on. What we did for weeks, we worked with the B pencils, the polychromos, the B pencils, the polychromos, didn't we? Every time we did the colouring in, that's what we worked with. And then a couple of weeks ago, when we did those little parakeets, we went up the other end of the Pergoliners, didn't we? And we were looking at the A pencils, A for aquarelle. And in reality, there are more of the aqua pencils in the box than there are of the B pencils in the Pergoliners. So it would have been ridiculous to always be gravitating towards the B pencils, especially because so many of you are getting the polychromos now. So I thought, right, let's go the aqua. And now we're going to mix it because Pergamano must have had a very good reason for putting them both in. I know what it was. I know why they've done it. It's because they create a seal with one and then they can use watercolour with the other. That's on parchment, because parchment doesn't like water, see? So they use the oil-based pencils or the wax-based pencils to create a shield, and then they were able to load up the watercolour. Quite clever, really. But we, doodlers in the SHAC, we have the best of both worlds. So all of you good people who have the Pergoliners and were thinking, I wish I had polychromos. Now you're really glad you got the aqua pencils, aren't you? And do you know what? All pencils work. If you haven't got any of what I'm talking about, just grab a colour in anything. It will work. But when we were using watercolour pencils, we're going to have a little recap. So the way it works, let's have a look, shall we? You ready? Let's get started. And I showed you this before, but there's no reason we can't have a little recap. Now, let me get me glasses ready. Can you hear me all good? Everybody happy? I think I'm going to use those ones for a minute. Right, that's better. So what we're going to do, let's have a look at the cherry blossom, sorry. Let's look at the cherry blossoms. I drew these years ago. And what we want to do is take, for example, you've got a red in here, yeah, A12, and you've also got a really nice pinky fleshy colour. That would be nice for people. It's a kind of a fleshy colour. If you're a white person, it's a fleshy colour. Well, you're not white, are you? You're fleshy. Pink. Right. And what we're going to do, you see, what we learned was, instead of going to the actual artwork, we're going to add a little bit of this colour, the fleshy peachy colour, to what we call a mix mat. Anything with a surface that's got a grab. Okay? And what I'll do as well is, I'll add a little bit of the red as well, because I can mix it, I can make it two-tone, I can make it darker. If this is a little bit light for my cherry blossom, then I can add a little bit of the red. So I didn't really think that, I didn't want to go the pinky colour. See, there is a nice pink in there as well, a kind of a fuchsia-y colour. But I thought, actually, I'd rather go the pinky blossom, if you get what I mean. So once you've got that, then what we need next is a bit of water and a brush. So we've got these brushes. This is what we used because they're great. The reason I use these is because they've got like water. They're really good controllers. They don't leak for a start. But what I'm not going to do is go to the picture with my water or my pencil. I'm going to mix. So I put a little bit of water, for example, just squeezing now. I'm squeezing this and it will give me a little bit of water. It just squeezes it out. See? The more you squeeze, the more water comes out, obviously. So let me just get a little bit of water going. Right, so I've got a little puddle of water there now. Right? Okay. Let me just grab I'm just going to grab a tissue. Just in case I want to blot. But remember before we were going hop, skip, jump. That's what I was trying to get you to kind of remember. Let's see if a little recap wouldn't be a bad idea. So for example, what we're going to do is take the water now and just add it to that water-soluble pigment. And what you'll see is it moves immediately. See, as soon as I put the water to it, see how I'm getting a really lovely pink colour, like so. And then if I wanted to change the colour a little bit, or I've got two choices. I can either go back into the water and thin it down a little bit, right, which will make it lighter because it will be more watery, diluted. Or I can go into the red, add a little bit of red and it will darken it up. But I would say, let's have a look at what we're doing first before we start. Yeah. So I'm going to take one that I'm working on so you can see. And then what I'm going to suggest is that we start down at the bottom. Rather than bang in the middle of the picture, let's not start on the biggest flower, the centerpiece, and then go, oh no, too dark, too watery, too this, too that. Let's start down in the bottom here so that we can control it better. So we're going to go hop, skip, jump. And the reason that I suggest that is so that you haven't got too much water. See, the other thing that I often do is I take my hand and I just go like that, and then I can see. But if you've got a bit of copy paper underneath, that works a treat too. And then I'm just going to add the colour because it makes the cherry blossoms really light and gentle. And the other thing is, and you'll remember this when we did let's just do these little, it goes really fast because compare this now with when you have to colour, not have to, that's not fair. When you use the regular pencils, it takes so much longer, doesn't it? Let's turn this round. I'm getting bold now. So let's have a look. I'm going in for all the different areas that I consider to be pink. And the water, you see, this is the thing. Now I'm using this mix mat. What this is doing is it's just, first of all, it's giving me a lovely diluted pigment, and then secondly what it's also doing is let's get a bit more of that, get a bit more. What it's also doing is the water brush is metering out the amount of moisture I'm using. I mean, we're not using watercolour paper here, you know, that's what watercolour is for, but the postcards are surprisingly they receive the water very, very well. That's the way I'm going to put it. It's really good. We were all delighted last time, weren't we? We thought, I didn't see that. Stuart, good morning, Stuart. Lovely. Stuart's in the building with you. If you've got any questions or you want to know what exactly I'm doing or where to find anything, Stuart is happy to help. That's his job. He's there to keep you company and to help you. So we can go through all the little buds and decide what's pink, what's green, what's a leaf, what's a petal. I'm not sure with this one. There you go. God, it's lovely to be back. I missed it. I missed it yesterday. I was all dressed up, all ready to go. And then nothing. You do sort of, you think, oh, what happened there? But having said that, I think we handled it very well, don't you? I didn't get upset at all, which surprised me because I thought I would, because I have been getting upset about things. There's a lot of pressure on me at the moment. But yesterday, I think I was just too hot to get upset. I just thought, oh, well, there you go then. SHAC, no SHAC. Sorry about that. Yeah. And the other thing is, you know, in the end, right, so we're going like that, turn it round, make the artwork come to you. You see what I'm doing here, all right? Yeah, and like I say, the other thing with all this is with all the terrible things going on in the world, this isn't even, I wouldn't even grace this with the word problem. This is just a glitch. It's just a, you know, an inconvenience perhaps, you know. It's not something that you could associate with a problem, really, is it? Problem would be if I woke up and the garage was burnt to the ground. That'd be a bit of a problem. But even that, you know, it's nothing that time and a little bit of money won't sort out. So, yeah, it is what it is. That's it. It is what it is. And I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. It is never the event, but how we respond to it that will ultimately affect us. I don't know how many times I've said that. I remember years ago, when the kids were little and their dad left us. That was a bit of a blow. I tell you what, that was what I'd call a problem, because I lived in California, so it was a big problem because I was away from a family as well. And I remember I was like, oh no, this isn't going well, right? And I was only young, I was only 35, and the kids were nippers. And I read this book. It was by Melody Beattie, and it was called Codependent No More. Because I thought I just needed to figure out what had happened there, you know. And this book was called Codependent No More by Melody Beattie, and it was a life changer for me. And on the inside cover, it said, "It is never the event, but how you respond to it that will ultimately affect you." Okay. And I thought, well, do you think this is pink, or do you think this is... Do you think that that's pink or green? I reckon that could be a pink one, don't you? I don't know. When in doubt, hang about. Just wait and we'll decide later, Gray. Yeah, so it said on the inside cover of this book, it said, "It is never the event, but how you respond to it that will ultimately affect you." And so what I did was I made these little flashcards. You know, like when you're teaching kids to read. And they were little flashcards. And I wrote it on these little flashcards. Like, if I'd had Post-its, I'd have put it on Post-its. And I stuck it to everywhere where I stood. So, for example, by the kitchen sink, I put it on the window, in the bathroom, on the mirror. So every time I went to clean my teeth or put my makeup on, it said I had to read it. I read it and I read it and I read it, and in the end, it just became a working part of my mind. It was like, doesn't matter what happens, Gray. Doesn't matter what happens here. It's how I respond to it that will ultimately affect me. You know. And it changed my life, because it didn't, and it got a lot worse before it got better, I can tell you. But it was okay, you know, it was okay. And I'm sure that a lot of you know exactly what I'm talking about, you know. I've never heard of a happy divorce. But it was all right, you know, because I was very measured in my responses. I didn't lose the plot, as they say. Right, can you see how quickly we've gone through this? It's great, isn't it? I'm just thinking, let me come in on the... Everybody happy? Is it getting warm again in here? I shut the window because the neighbours have decided to stand outside the window and have a little chat. So it's like, you, God, it's like they're planning. They're planning it to test me. Let me see if they've gone yet. Because it is nice to have a little breeze. They're gone. Result. Okay, fresh air. Right. I like listening to the birds. Okay, so but you can see how quickly you just work your way through that pink. And the trick is to then go back and you can add shade. Now you've got choices. You could add the shade with the dry pencil, the dry watercolour pencil. You could add the shade with the dry B pencils or the polychromos. Or you could go in with another layer of water to get that real watercolour effect, right? So let's have a look now and see where we're at, shall we? So these watercolour brushes are really a great idea. That we've got them on the website. I don't usually sell, but I'm selling. These are as cheap as we sell them as really good price, because for the quality, there's lots of these on the market, but some of them, they just drip. I was going to say another word. They just gush water, so you've got no water control, which is rubbish. But these are great. They really meter out the water to you, and you have to squeeze not while you're painting, you just hold it. And the other thing is you get long ones and you get short ones. Look, you get long ones and you get short ones, and you can extend them just by putting the lid on the end. So long, short, long, you know. There are plenty of different colours. What's more interesting is the nibs. When you look at the nibs, see, I've got the two, I'm using two the same size here. But when you look at them, hang on, let me show you a different one so that you get what I'm talking about. See, you get really big ones as well. See how much, let me show you on a black. Where's black? Hang on. There. So you can see that the nibs, the actual brush, this bit, is a lot longer and fatter. So, for example, when you're doing the sky or the background, the larger one would be great for a kind of a wash, if you like. That's it. So, they're great. I love them. I think they're great. You could do all of this with one good quality number 6 sable hairbrush. Just one good quality brush would do the job as well. Right, so I've used the pink one. I say I use the pink one, and I only need to clean it off like that. Just clean off the pink, and I can go in the green next. But since I'm going to be bouncing backwards and forwards between the pink and the green, I've got 2 on the go. Obviously, what's actually not obvious, but you know what I'm saying. Right, so now let's leave those to dry. So this is it. See, this is the nice thing about the watercolour. You could bounce backwards and forwards. Let's go with a green. Let's try a green now. So I had a little bit of green. So I've got my palette. I'm building my palette on my mix mat. That's why it's quite useful too. Everybody happy? All good? It's very overcast here. They had a really big storm in Edenbridge yesterday. I mean, I was here, but apparently it was extreme. Like flooding in the high street and that. It's weird, isn't it? What is going on with these weather patterns, eh? Right, so let's add a little bit of water again. Over here. See, you can see I've already used it, so it's a bit green. There's no water. The water's clear. It's just that the brush is a little bit still from the last time I did this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the yellow as my base for the undercoat. Right, so I use my yellow as my base, and I'm going to go in and add a little bit of green. See how you can blend. You've got, even if in your tin or your pencil pergoliners, you've got 20 of these, but actually you've got as many blends of green or blue or pink or red or what as you need. it's ridiculous how many. You don't need 50 watercolour pencils to have all the different colours. You just need to be able to blend them. You get what I mean? Right, so this is quite a nice colour. Again, I'm going to play it safe down the bottom. Hop, skip, jump. So I know that it's not gloopy wet. Right, what glasses have I got on here? Let's try these glasses. Right, okay. Nice colour. Nice colour. Okay, nice and vibrant. If I think it's too citrusy, see, it hasn't dried yet, so you've got to let it dry. If I thought it was a little bit too green, I could always water it down a bit, couldn't I? Just add a little bit of water. Just add a bit of water. Or let's squeeze a bit more water. Let's have a look. Right, let's have a look. So now I've added so much water you can't see the colour. Okay, this is cool. So when we go, and you'll see how quickly now we work our way around. I've got to reintroduce because I put too much water in. That's all right though. It will work nicely. So in we go, and we're going to put I'm going to have to add a little bit of yellow now. I won't go. What I'm going to avoid though is putting water to the pigment. Like, I'm not going to go into the wet area now with my pencil. I'll move it away from. I always work on the dry, in the same way that you'll rarely see me do this and get the colour directly off the pencil. I've said this before. I believe that it, whilst it's not the law, it doesn't do the pigment any good, the shaft. And what will happen is, over a period of time, if that's the only way you work, and you think, well, she don't know what she's talking about because I get a lovely bright solid yellow, you will. But over time, this shaft will start to crumble, and you'll not understand why. But it will be because you've dampened it at the core. Right, let's give it another go. Right. I want you to be able to see what I'm actually doing. That's the point here. Right, okay, go again. So we see the lovely thing about these brushes. Have you got them? Any brush? The lovely thing about watercolour is that it's just so lovely and delicate and straightforward. See, and because we've made a wall here, it's like a seal, isn't it? That the oil-based polychromos or pergoliners, the B pencils, they will have made a block, like a mask, really. So you can, this is just the undercoat, okay? We're just putting down the base colour. So if it's a bit yellow, don't worry about that, because in a minute, look, let me check check the difference. See? That's the same colour, but with a tiny bit of blue added. And I used the same blue as we used for the blue tits. So it all kind of tones in. Even though it's a green, the tone is the same. That's what I wanted to go through with you today. And we enjoyed this, didn't we? So I'm really glad that we're kind of mixing up the two ends of the pencil box. So let's get this colour in. Let's get a bit more, dilute it a bit, get a bit more green going. Just make your own colour. There you go. Add a little bit of green. See, last time when we did the parakeets, it was that exercise in the transition from a pencil to a brush, wasn't it? But you all did it so well. It's just a little bit of practice, really. But you see, these water holders, it's great, because otherwise you have to kind of, with a traditional brush, there's a lot more taking the colour off. There's a lot more mopping up, I find. I'm going to go green here. I wasn't sure, was I? Yeah, so tomorrow, when we're on the... Paul and I are on the telly again. And we're going to do that live Skype. So, I've got to work out... I think it would be all right this way round to go to Skype. I'm on at 11 o'clock. I've got those lovely Christmas stamps. I drew them. It was last year's model, but they're really nice. The two-way stamps, the baubles, they were very popular. And I thought, well, why keep bringing out more and more and more and more? Why not have a look at what we've already got, you know, because they are so nice. And lots of you won't have seen them. So I thought, right, let's do that then. And those of you who've already got them will be chuffed. No, don't need more. So tomorrow I'm in charge of stamps and Paul's in charge of groovy. Be fine. Happy days. Volume all right? Right, here we go. And, and at 12 o'clock today, on the subject of groovy, at 12 o'clock today, we've got our lovely groovy download hour for the weekend. And if you're wondering what that's all about, Stuart's really good at that because he's the one that posts it all and promotes it. So he's our specialist in the building for this one. So if you've got any questions and you're wondering about the downloads on the groovy, Stuart can help you there. Hazel, our friend Hazel, she rallied when the lockdown occurred, and it's been her that's been giving us these lovely projects to keep us company. She was another one that just said, I just want to help, you know. I just want to help. I want to keep it going. And so we did. And so at 12 o'clock, there's a download there. And then Linda Williams, this is brilliant as well. So every week, because Linda, I mean, she's like amazing, really. And she's also a very, very, very dear friend. But she's a real specialist, isn't she, in parchment art. She's a lovely Welsh lady, if you're not familiar with her. Anyway, she every week or every couple of weeks, I don't know, is it every week? We introduce one of her needle tools because she's a Pergamano through and through, and she does those fantastic, you know, that lovely lace work with parchment art. I mean, and so again, at no charge, we put together these focuses, and what that is it just means that you can download that as well, and it shows you the only cost really is to get the tool, but then what Linda's doing is to tell you what to do with all these tools, because when you look at multi-needle tools, that's what this is all about. They're like Pergamano tools with loads and loads of needles in them, and you think, well, what if you don't know what they are and you don't know how to use them, then then they're not much good to you really, because they're quite. But when you actually see what you can do with them, it's crazy good. And so Linda's job, what she decided to do was to create samplers so that you can see exactly what to do and all the different possibilities, because one needle gives you a host of different projects or different patterns. And so she's written books on this stuff, but what she wants to do is tackle each needle one at a time, each needle one a week, you know, one every couple of weeks, and then she gives you a project, and we have challenges, and it's all over the Pergamano. But again, it's on the Pergamano website, this lot, because it's really very trad parchment. Really fabulous. Last night I was doing my ironing and Linda was, we were chatting away and we were talking about new tools and we've had a brilliant idea. So then Dave got involved. And so it's funny, and I'm doing my ironing. We started out, she said, yeah, I've got some ironing, but I'm too hot. I said, yeah, well, I'm gonna do my ironing and talk to you at the same time, Linda, if that's all right. So I was doing my ironing. At the end of the conversation, I had my phone because I propped it up on the shelf so I could talk to her while I was doing my ironing, right? And at the end of the conversation, I took my phone and because I'd showed her the piles of ironing prior to phone call, and at the end I just swept a lot. I just showed her, and it was all the baskets were empty, the ironing was all finished. We talked for quite a while, and she still got hers to do. Sorry, Linda. But it was a great conversation. It was really when you get a bunch of creatives all bouncing off each other, and she said they'll love them. These new tools, this idea that, because then she says one thing and then I bounce and we just bounce off each other with the ideas, it's great. I love it. And I love her. Right. So you can see how quickly it comes together, doesn't it? With the leaves and the plants. So now let's go back to the pink and let's zhuzh it up a bit. Yeah, because by now you pink, when you add another layer of colour, right, see here, mine are darker, aren't they, more intense. When you add another layer of colour, you really do want to, let me just see if it focuses first. Let me just focus it gently. Right, when we do these two layers of colour now, you want to wait until the initial colours dry, otherwise you'll just soak the paper. And you'll find that these postcards are really, really good for this. We were so pleasantly surprised. See that there? Silly me. Look, it won't move with water because it's, I thought it was an A pencil, but it was a B pencil, so it won't work. So I have to rub it really hard to get rid of it. Right. But it certainly won't dissolve with water. So let's have a look. If I add a little bit more pink in this area here, it's just a mixed mat, isn't it? That's all. It's a palette. And I've got my red and I've got a bit of water there. Right, that'll do. So I'll go back in the pink. I don't want to overcook it. I can always add depth. It's not so easy to take it away. Now I'm going to take some red and I'll transfer that red over here just to darken it up. Isn't that nice to do? And if I want to thin it, I'll go in the water. I want to darken it, I'll go in the red. There you go. Easy. Now let's see. If I want it a bit waterier, add a bit of water. Okay, let's have a look. Right. So what I want to do now is add a bit of, let's do the middle one so we can, no, let's not. Let's go down here. And now I'm going to come into this and I'm going to add a little bit of shade, see? Just in that base there. Yeah, this is going to look good. See, quite wet, but real nice. See? So you can add some cool shadow. And it's not done until it's dried. So where am I? Oh, that one there, isn't it? Right, so I can add a little bit of depth. There you go. Just in those buds. Oh, I've just seen a leaf that I missed. When you start to observe, you see it, don't you? Right, let's have a look. This is going to be darker. Hang on, too wet. Pull it round a bit, grey. Too wet. Just blot it. Let's just blot it. Right, start again. Just add a little bit of that depth. Because it's not... Now we're getting there. So now we're just going to add a little bit of shadow onto those. See, like I said, you can do this wet, like we're doing here, which gives you that real nice, blotchy is not the right word, but that kind of incidental shading, you know, where You know when you do watercolour and it looks kind of, yeah, blotchy. There you go. Nice. It's very relaxing, this. Going into the redder area just to catch a little bit of the darkness as well. And then the middle bit, I'll go over it with the red. I'm not sure. I don't know what I'm going to do in the middle yet. I've got to study a cherry blossom a little bit more closely. That'll be a nice colour, that pink that I've just got there. Oh yeah, now we're cooking with gas. See? So you get a really nice... Let's get a bit of that pink there. Yeah, let's get some shadow going, like that. Let's make use of all these zigzag edges there. Yeah, nice. Right, cool, cool, cool. Yeah. You can do 3, 4, 5 layers. It's not, you know, I didn't read the rule book. Do you remember? I don't know the rules. I'm just figuring it out as I'm going along. And if you were on the bus with me, you could figure out, you could use what I do, and then, you know, lots of you are already doing this anyway, and then you figure it out for yourselves, don't you? You add your own sixpence worth, you know? It's entirely up to you. If you like what I do, you know, and I know that a lot of you have already, you know, you're much better at this than me, and that's cool too. You just got to give a few of us a bit of a chance to catch up, that's all. There you go, look. Yeah, so if the prediction is right and we're coming in for another lockdown, it may be a good idea to start investigating the tools that Linda uses, these downloads every Friday that Hazel does for you. Just start gathering your bits, so to speak, because they're gearing up to do some really cool stuff online. So if you're watching this, they'll be joining us soon. They're just, you know, they're busy making plans for you. It'll be good. You watch. But it may be that now's the time that you think, do you know what, I want to try and master that skill set. You know? Don't abandon me though in the old SHAC with me colouring pencils. My lead pencils, my HB. Because in the end, all of this that we're doing is just about keeping you company, making sure we stay safe and interested in what we're doing, giving us a reason to get up in the morning. It's all that, isn't it? Hey? And why not learn and get better at what we love doing? Why not? Why not, eh? Let's learn something cool together. I mean, I see you're drawing what's coming up through Facebook. Oh, blimey. I mean, I'm getting better and you certainly are getting better. It's improving my game. I know it is. Because it's improving my confidence. And it's lovely. I love this. See how you can really get in with these nibs? It's great. Can you actually see what I'm doing? I think you can. Let's have a look at just have a look at the blossoms. Look, they're only tiny. Look how tiny this is. But you can get in with these brushes just like, they're great. So you can get that sort of watercolour effect. You know, we're getting the best of both worlds going here because we're, see, and once it's dry, if I wanted to, let me see if I picked up, see that's now gone to that red, which is actually more of a Christmas red, isn't it? If you look at it, it's a real dark Christmas red. But by the time you've bounced backwards and forwards in this lovely fleshy pink, you end up with this beautiful rose cherry blossom colour It's just lovely. Where am I going now? Add a bit of shade. Have I missed? No. Right, I'm going to add a little bit. I'm going in for that centrepiece. I ought to let it dry though. Actually, Grey, physician, heal thyself and all that. Yeah, but it'd be good when it's done. Right, so I think I'll wait a little bit. See, the other thing about this is, if I leave it, I can leave it on the brush. Look, it's not going to dry out. I can leave it on there. And even next week, if I decided to go back, all I need to do is add a splash of water and that will rejuvenate the thing again. So now this, for example, this is dried out now, the green one. Yeah. So I'll go to my brush, because now I want to show you a little, a finding of mine. There you go. Let's call it a, it's obvious really, but I'm going to show you anyway. Because we did this, when we did the parakeets, do you remember I said, when we were doing those big cheese plant leaves in the background, do you remember the big cheese plant leaves in the parakeets? I don't know where they are. They've flown away. We did the cheese plant leaves, didn't we? And in order to tone them down, we didn't use a dark green, we added a blue tone. And then all of a sudden, the cheese plant leaves took on a fantastic colour, didn't they? Rather than leafy green. You got the shade, but by using blue. Do you remember when we did, what colour was it we used? When we were, yeah. Do you remember when we were doing the yellow, the yellow branches, and we added purple? Was it purple? Yeah, I think it was. I can't remember. Mind freeze. But you add colours that you don't expect to add shade. And with this, what we'll do is we'll add the blue, but we'll add, see, I can't use the blue from the polychromos. That's why that happened, see, because they're not water soluble, are they? They're not water soluble colour. So what I've got to do now is add another sort of blue. So I'm going in from the, if you look at the pergoliners, you've got that turquoisey blue, and then you've got that blue as well. So you've got two different blues to pick. I think that's right. Yeah, you've got two different blues to pick. I can't see any others. So let's have a look. Where's my yellow one gone? Bear with me a second. So that's my pink one. There's my yellow one. Right. So now I'll come back in, add a little bit of that lime zesty green. Now let's make a decision. Do I want to add that colour? That's a darker colour, isn't it? Right? That will tone it down. Or do I want to add a turquoisier blue? Or do I want to add both? It's entirely up to you. Do you see? But what we're going to do, I quite like that colour in there rather than the turquoisey colour. This is it's a choice. It's entirely up to you. Let's have a look what colour this gives us. A bit dirty. Okay, let's go with the, I don't think I need a bit more yellow. Let's add a colour. But we're going to add a blue. We'll do that. See, that adds a darker colour. This one adds a bit more of a zestier colour. All right, let's go with this one then. Zesty it is. Nice. So, again, play it safe, come down the back, and let's have a look. So we want to add some shadow now, don't we? So we can add a bit of shadow. Keep it quite watery. Then you can push it around a bit, see, up the veins and that. Nice. Look. This one's behind that one, so let's give this a little bit of depth. And it's all right if it's a bit patchy, because when you look at leaves and the light hits leaves, it is a bit patchy. Oh, that's a bit turquoisey grey. Nice. See, and then in the end, what we can do, we could take the blue pencil that we actually did to do the bird, and we can just add a flash of blue if you want to. But look how pretty this is. So we're going back in now. We've done a little bit of pink shading, and now we're going in to do the leafery. Isn't that nice? So you go in that darker area, and then you just work your way through the leaves. Okay, let's add a bit of water to it. I don't want it to be too thick. There you go, so we get the shadow under it behind his head. Nice, eh? And then we can do our trick with the leaves as well. Do you remember when we coloured the leaves in? You know the light show, you know how it works now. Right, let me just get some of this green going off of there. Right, see if we just take a bit of water and we just tone that edge down there. There you go. So we're adding shadow. See how we're adding shadow in there like that? Let's just take a little tiny bit like that. Nice. And the more control you get over these pens or any brush, it's all about the transition, isn't it? It really is. From the pencil to the brush. That's all we're trying to do here. Is just work out the transition from the pencil to the brush. And if you lose the colour like I just have, then I'm going to go back in. Where's my yellow gone? Yellow, there it is. So I'll add a little bit more yellow. See, I always stay away from the wet. I don't want to put my pigment in the wet. And then we'll get a bit more water going. There you go, thicken it up again a bit. You think how long this pencil's going to last you if that's all you have to do every time. Crazy, isn't it? Really. There you go. So we'll add a bit of greenery, a bit of blue to the yellow to make a lovely green blend. And there are different greens in the set. There's a lovely olive. You know, it's the starting out tone, isn't it, that sort of sets the pace. This is lovely. I like that. Let's get some depth going. I'm going to add a little bit more for the shadow. Just get in there. Oh, hop, skip, jump. I think it's oh, I've missed a little bit of pink there. See, as you go around and you start looking. Do you know, and that was interesting because Dave likes taking pictures of the birds in the garden. And because they're all over the feeders, aren't they, the blue tits? Are they in your garden as well? We've got them everywhere. And so he gave me, this was so nice, he took some photos, that he already had them on his, and he blew them up really large for me so that I could take a close look. Because I wasn't sure about the legs on the bird. Well, check this out. So Dave, he took a picture, big picture. Well, it's huge now, but he took a picture of the blue tits. And I didn't know that their legs are bright blue, look. Isn't that super? And the feeder, ironically, is exactly the same feeder as we got in our postcard. But check it out, look. Their legs are blue. And their caps are just what we've done. They've got a flash of black, white, see what we did? It's very realistic, really. Got white cheeks, just like we did. Eh? And then they've got that lovely yellow dirty, I said it was a bit dirty, didn't I? Bit yellower on the chest, so I know what to do with that one. But that fascinated me, that their legs are blue. They're little delicate claws as well. They're blue. How about that? And while we're looking, we can see what colour the tail feathers are as well. See? Look at that beady eye. He's caught Dave. You know that. Smashing, isn't it? You see, and if I wanted to add a real dark colour, all I've got to do is change the balance here. That's all. Just change the balance. So just add a bit of that and go in there. See, and now I've changed the balance. So I've gone into the turquoisey blue, and now I'll have you see all my different hop, skip, jumps. I'm just testing it before I go to task. See, and now I can come in here and it's going to be a lot more visible straight away. See? And then I can add a little flash through there, like so. See this one here? So I'll add a little flash through that side of and then I'll come in off that corner, because you know that's how we coloured in before, but it's just much faster. See how you get the shadow now? See? So add a little bit of shade down there. And you just tease the tip. Just tease the tip and get your shadow in. And by the time, the nice thing about this is by the time you get to the top and you've done your greenery, for example, like here, let's add a little bit of shade around there. Right. If you feel you've got too much going on, you see what you could have, I haven't, but what you could do is, why don't I? It's empty. You could get a third, sorry. You could have another brush. None of them are full, but I've got a little stash. You could get another brush that's got water in it, and you could use it for your mop up. So in other words, oh, here we go. That's one. So you could use it for, not mop up, for blending. So say, for example, I've got this one, which is really clean. It's got no colour on it. Yeah, there you are. So this one's just a mop up one. So for example, if let's just experiment now. If I take a little bit of my green and I put it, where should I put it? I've already done this too much. Let's do this one here, right? And so I'll put some green on there like that, okay? And then I think, oh, it looks a little bit stripy, you see? So how do I get that to blend? Well, I'll take the wet, just the water, and then I'll just go along that edge and it blends beautifully. So that's not a bad idea either, to have a clean one, because that one will go with any colour. So when you add a real dark colour, you can take a clear colour and then you can just go along the edge and it will blend the colour out. Does that make sense? I think it does. And so what we're going to do now, because we lost yesterday, didn't we? We lost yesterday because we weren't able to hang out in the shack. So I was thinking, what I think would be really, see, it does work really well and all, just checking. Right, so I was thinking what we could do, because we haven't done the sky yet, and I don't want to rush it, and I don't want to say, all right, we'll finish that off for yourselves then. So I've got a suggestion, because I know that several of you have already completed this, haven't you? But loads of us have been holding off, wondering what to do. So here's the idea that I've got, because now we've done the birds, so we could finish off the birds, couldn't we? We've done the blossom, we've done the leaves, but we haven't done the branches, the feeder or the sky. So this is my suggestion, that maybe over the weekend, if you feel inclined, you could complete up to that point. And then on Monday, I think it would be a really nice idea for us to get together and put in the landscape in the background, the sky, yeah? And I've got a real hankering to do something. See, I'm a lucky girl, because obviously I've got postcards. I've got lots of postcards. But perhaps you also made a copy of this, you know? Or maybe you just bought a couple of sets. They don't cost much. But I have a real hankering to do this, but in pencil. So I know Penny, you'll be looking at that going, oh, that'll be good. Sonia, you'll be going, oh, I do like that idea. I know you will. And so there are certain ones of you who are right into the grey work, right? And what I'm going to do this weekend, provided I have enough time, I'd like to, I'm going to settle down and I'm going to do this, but all monochrome, just with an HB pencil, maybe with me, these ones, different thicknesses or depths of graphite, different softnesses. You know, like I just get a hankering, and I thought I want to do one really delicate and not dark. What I want to practice with this one is not that it's going to be real black and like sinister, not that at all. I want to teach myself how to get depth but without darkness. Yeah, and I think that to do something really delicate like this, especially because I've got my eye in with the blue tits, I think that would be a really cool challenge. So that's what I'm going to do this weekend. What are you going to do? What have you got lined up? I hope you can join me at 11 o'clock tomorrow. And Paul, he's doing 1 o'clock. He's doing 1 o'clock, and he's doing 3 o'clock as well. Very, very, very good offers, I know. We're going for it on Hochanda. Hochanda, great TV channel, home of crafts, hobbies and art. That's what Hochanda stands for. So if you're new to the Clarity family, Hochanda and Clarity are real good partners, real tight. And so while I'm not around at the weekend, we're not here doing Facebook Live, Hochanda's there to keep you company too. So there's lots to do, lots to keep you occupied, and so I'll see you on Monday. But we won't abandon the blue tits quite yet. I'd like to do project completion, and maybe if you've got 2 of them, maybe you'll try practicing your grayscale. I'd love to be able to on Monday say, looky, look what I've managed. You know, I have to set myself challenges too. And that one's thing about colouring and shading. It's very, very relaxing, isn't it? I saw some of your colouring and shading on the Under the Sea project last week. Wow, fantastic, absolutely marvellous. So Stuart, thank you very much for helping. Thank you for joining me again. I'm so glad the sound worked. And I'll see you tomorrow at 11 o'clock on Hochanda, I hope, and 1 o'clock and 3 o'clock with Paul. He's the groovy, I'm the stamps. And other than that, what have I got going on? Acupuncture this afternoon, looking forward to that. Needles in the feet. I don't know who invented it, but it works. And it worked for Dave, amazing. Last week, it wasn't working. His ankles were really, really, really wrong. And so what Cam did, she used electricity, I don't know. She put his fingers in the plug. No, they had current, don't they, to the needles. And you know what? Instant, fantastic. So there's a lot to be said for this alternative medicine, you know, because he could barely walk. And this week he's as right as rain. How's that possible? In this heat and all. That's how he was able to get the buckets. Anyway, listen, I'm waffling now. I've got to go. Why have I got to go? Oh yeah, acupuncture. Lots of love to you. I'll see you Monday, 10 o'clock. Take care. Be safe. Bye-bye now, and thanks, Stuart.